We will now omit the introduction for today, as it's one of the greatest days ever. It's a thing a hip-hop enthusiast could possibly possess. Now, if you're having a merry celebration, Clipse, please remember to like, and before we continue, please subscribe. And for every slander campaign, bot, and commotion surrounding this record release from Drake and Travis Scott, as well as their bad fans, please like so that everyone may see it, can see how genuine and back we are. The culture is once again being dominated by lyricism. Once more, now that we've said that, well, currently, in regard to the new excerpts from the album's comeback, let God handle him. I must mention that the first thoughts after hearing this document, reviewing it, and determining what Pharrell and Pusha T have prepared feel like the equivalent of an Avengers rap record. Well, in spite of everything, somehow one of the greatest rollouts and the most hype that we have witnessed throughout the years, nevertheless, even after raising the standard so high. The Clipse weren't able to fulfill each and every commitment they provided for us. However, they truly went above and beyond. And as everyone from Pusha T and beyond knows, there is hatred against Kendrick and Tyler, the Creator. Similar to Stevie Wonder, Lamar, I must shine here. If it came from dissing, which we intended, to discuss raps at the Hall of Fame level, or from muttering some of the strongest statements on a record, you might be able to. And now this record is truly becoming this unique location with a lot of Hall of Fame level performers who were able to participate in it, and at that, never before has a rap game been more split and teeming with vultures to just keep everyone quiet about what we are witnessing, either now or simply causing folks to crash out completely with the times when they cannot manage. Considering what Clipse is doing, they are demonstrating their ability that is exclusive to the album, which has managed to achieve a significant cultural influence immediately following its release in this post-battle period. Naturally, what I'm talking about is none other than Kendrick Lamar, GNX as well. Naturally, now that Kendrick appears on this record as well as from To Make Tyler the Same, Pharrell and Pusha the Creator who attended the pop-out, a lot of one of the key participants here has been at the focal point of the hip-saving movement, bounce between Drake and every loser by his side. Additionally, just to take it a short step further, if we'd like to be technical, it's a complete circle. Period. Due to Kendrick and Drake, the domino provided all of the meat. Impact that initially began when Lil Wayne began to quarrel with the Pharrell and Clipse. All due to, of course, Birdman refusing to reimburse Pharrell for a beating. When we simply observe how all of that has now led us to this exact, in a way, what we are witnessing right now is an album that has a spiritual vibe to it. GNX's replacement, and a canon event for the whole hip-hop tradition. And now with Tyler, Nas, Fel, Push, Malice, and so many other people participating in this album. In the broadest sense, however, what we are observing is if these names all remain amid the movement of Kendrick Lamar and retain the flag he intended to move, rap is back in place. Additionally, only seeing the work that was done on this record and the origins of it. Observing this is how everyone comes together. Speaks for itself, and each fan and artist ought to commend this, since this album is advocating for freedom of expression and hip-hop expression during a period when they wish to remove it, which is something that Push and Malice both possess, as stressed repeatedly throughout their launch. And when you simply pay attention, what you need to listen to in each and every song here to comprehend is that one of the the message at the heart of everything is that hip-hop is being regarded as one of the ultimate boundaries of freedom of expression and forcefully for it. Furthermore, this goes beyond the stakes. Everything which gives the impression that this album among the most significant collections of work you will continue to hear for a very long time. Now that we've reached the real 13, the Clipse has an epic musical tune, Started Here. I will state that it is the unadulterated manifestation of everything related to this hip-hop genre that has sought to be regarding GOATs, pioneers, and present leaders. Everyone wants to succeed, Furthermore, when you see the characteristics and understand that the record's title, track itself, is grounded by the individual who really set the benchmark for what constitutes a quality rap album, ought to be an Illmatic. Furthermore, naturally, Nas, about whom we shall talk more in the future subsequent feature. Additionally, yet in terms of fame and the heritage of excellence, it extends to the extent that the rap's current spokesperson is on this, as Kendrick Lamar does well. Well, in terms of the lineage's duration between possessing a GOAT from the Golden Age, followed by the GOAT in Kendrick. And then, naturally, Clipse, whose ascent and fell and prime were both in the midst of these two leaders. Extra millivarious rap periods simply in terms of the presentation and appearance of this document. It was intended to transport the same characteristics shared by all lyricists, altered irrevocably by Will Loddick. But additionally, the same flair for contemporary blockbuster rap. Records are starting to resemble GNX, and now, in relation to Kendrick Lamar is the ideal location to simply dive in. It's the document from Since. In terms of what was done here by the current rap king, he did leave his stamp on this record though. Few other MCs ever were able to. And Kendrick is accompanied by two of the best spitters ever in both Malice and Push. All right? With this renowned pair collaborating with the king, Drake is going to use what they produced to be plagued by dreams and must be enraged that they could finally release. Additionally, a little aside from everything, the conflict that existed between Clipse and Def Jam, all of which occurred as a result of Drake really making threats to bring documents into Rap Beat, and naturally Push was unable to accomplish his goals. Okay, upon observing the consequences they had, the fact that Def Jam appeared suddenly has an album by Justin Bieber prepared for on the same day. Now pay attention. With all the prior smear efforts we've seen, and I do believe this demonstrates that the label is still attempting to muffle the sound of Drake's most dreaded opponents collaborating on a song. Furthermore, to be honest, when you realize the whole scope of this song and what it became, despite the fact that the music wasn't amazing, simply to be able to express and to openly express yourself was worthwhile. Completing the necessary steps to escape that Def Jam agreement to release this song first of all. However, now with how excellent it is and with what we already have discovered, it's proven by Push. This is among the most current interviews that were featured in the Clipse. Now, however, we formally acknowledge that Kendrick submitted the first draft of this document and made a decision to document it. When he was camping in the studio and anticipating Drake's career-ending recordings at any time in 2024. 2. Begin with the fact that Kendrick really recorded this in the midst of the most significant and most seen runs that we had ever witnessed from any rapper in history. Quit disparaging the guy's pen in Kendrick's words because he is unable to write quickly due to his being, obviously, superior and quicker than any of these individuals. Additionally, once you are aware of this, observe now that Drake and every loser in hip-hop will eventually hear this. Move ahead is that there are incredible tracks from albums here, where we've never seen a more truthful Pusha T rap and susceptibility. Finally, there are times here that simply remind me of Toe, the reason I adore hip-hop, and how I see that. There haven't been many records actually capable of doing so for years. Furthermore, what I must give credit to this song for performing more than anything else, this is the Pharrell who demanded that the track be the project's introduction, and stated that it was necessary for the whole plot of the document. And now, naturally, the song I'm referring to is Birds Don't Sing. Additionally, with this song, this is among the most exquisite songs I've heard about and joined groups like, for me, a song like Dance by Nas is the height of hip-hop's artistic potential form may emotionally communicate to specifically discuss the death of a cherished one. And now, Malice and Pushette lost their parents in a matter of months. Apart from the relationships between these, the verses they split are shared by brothers. Out everything in, and these are thorough descriptions of the final memories they shared. As Push with their parents talks about Malice and his mother regarding their father. With all said and done, this unadulterated emotion is palpable. An authenticity that you seldom experience in rap is popular nowadays. Finally, as this song is so emotionally potent that any one listener, regardless of whether they are coming back or new, is able to comprehend the melody and sensing things so powerful. Additionally, to be truthful, when considering the hip-hop period that Clipse originates from, as well as the time period currently in rap in terms of what a lot of rappers attempt to avoid. To begin a record with such a poignant song, it's only a declaration in and of itself, which conveys a lot. And yeah, John Legend deserves praise for his incredible hook. It's got this. Additionally, Stevie Wonder contains a few concluding remarks that are so strong but very straightforward. And now really, when we discuss what distinguishes the outstanding records from the excellent ones, and even what constitutes a classic in reality, and what provides a powerful experience for listeners, even with an artist we've known for a long time ago, well, awful musicians and garbage rappers like Drake make notes because it's important, such as this, which simply demonstrates that you are listening to experts in the field. And so much so that we observe this all the way through this album for Push and Malice. What we ultimately witness is that out of all the Clipse albums, that one, you may claim that even with their solo albums, Malice and Push never felt better. Positioned directly on this album and regarding the history they have as Clipse, they have the impression that they developed into the finest iterations of themselves. Sincerely, in spite of their parallels between their travel experiences, following the break in the clip, which shows the course had encouraged him to never go beyond, ascended the industry's ladder while listening to nice music, and simultaneously, Malice had a spiritual metamorphosis. Evidently, when you listen to this record, as you can see, these encounters have molded them to become wiser and knowledgeable in their own unique ways, more so than before. And from pushing back, lashing out at the sector in this far more intelligent manner, more than the majority of rappers have ever done. Here, as it's obvious that he's been exposed to a lot of terrible things with Malice, acting as the rational voice, who was constantly grounding this here, record and providing it with a very reliable conscience. However, what you ultimately see here is a return to this notion of being the best rap album ever in terms of representing a great deal of what this genre has always intended. Well, what exactly is Malice? Ultimately contributes to this record. And what has been absent from several rap records for the current years is anything that has been inherently associated with hip-hop for almost as long as it's just the mysticism of creation. The music is meant to contain that. And from the words of Malice to the vulnerability that elicits and forces the final impact it has on the... It was disappointing that he was not able to be heard on this actual undertaking. Even though it's somewhat of an outcome of our constant fan casting as fans, followed by disappointment from our own anticipations. However, for the sake of the tales, go past it. This record includes one MC who provided what is possibly the finest verse on the album. Nas was the only one involved. Let God, the self-titled song, comes next. Get 'em out of here, chandeliers. Song that seems so timeless in its feral atmosphere, and even then you hear some ad-libs by DJ Clue at times during this process. And now, after pushing and being malicious, simply leave the first part of this song. In this song's second half, as you listen, these incredible horns begin to play, which seem like the grandest event and triumph anthem for the current situation. At last, you get to see the man who represents the essence of being a rapper, and just to be more hip-hop than everybody else. I have been involved with this for more than 30 years. Additionally, naturally, none other than No. Additionally, Nas is currently at year 34 since the release of Breaking Out. Hold on to keeping that in mind, as he just showed the fact that rappers can stay for good Beth for their father's time if they are seeing it, as the difference between his presence and self-assurance on the mic while still in his bars, which contain a lot of subtle cautions, as well as some bends to his identity as Nas at the conclusion of the day. All in all, Nas goes crazy on this track and has the same height as you, perhaps even on a record with almost a comprehensive list of first-tier feature Hall of Famers. Additionally, now that Nas is on this track's second to last being featured on the album's outro song, it also has the impression that the narrative and progression of this record, possessing a rapper who was Push and Malice motivated by, and collaborating with this leader up to a really strong outro song where Push's most poignant lyric is, except for the introduction. Yes, this does appear to be highly deliberate. Additionally, in relation to this record's hip-hop heritage, just to get things started, Tyler and Kendrick, who both adore the videos. And Tyler is the largest Clipster in Push's own words. And older interviews of, according to Kendrick, some of their work are among the most significant albums. It motivated him. Well, to possess these names from the younger generation when they arrived, carried out their actions, and then end the record with a master of ceremonies who the Clipse glorify for self-discovery. Nevertheless, to see this record as this great ancestry, representation, and honoring of hip-hop. I'm not sure if this was prearranged or not. It just ultimately captures a great deal of what makes overall this entire album seems unique. This is fundamentally simply this revival of the vibe that hip-hop has been absent for a long time. And amusing enough, given that Drake has purchased the worst of rap, there's still a lot that needs to be fixed. Despite Kendrick being the best right now, actually, the only other songs that gave me a feeling similar to this were Chromacopia from Tyler and then GNX from Kendrick. And at this very moment, when you examine the contents of these records, Let God Sort is the cultural representation of the feeling of the hymn out is finishing a set of these leaders. Regarding rap at the moment in terms of just providing us a situation that embodies what, in this era, a classic album can and has to be as per each and every element in this item. The effort is evident, invested in it everywhere, and the larger ideas and messages that are being shown. Additionally, as Push and Malice are at a completely different stage in their career compared to when we last saw them together. And naturally, this record is a long way from their day. Well, this record is the greatest right now. Rap album, that will be released this year, and it's not even close. And from the traditional to all the disses, these verses are subliminals, which will receive their own disintegration to see what else may we know a lot of people. So will be next. Wish to eliminate them? Well, now what? It's reasonable to assume that the Clipse have fulfilled their objectives and they brought back the vibe that hip-hop has missed. Now that everything has been spoken, tell me your thoughts on this. Clipse? New album. What are your favorite passages? Who do you believe had the finest performance? Was there Malice or Push out-rap each other? How did Fell beat? Which songs are your favorites? Tell me everything, literally. Go to the remarks. My plan is to read them. Additionally, if you're seeing this video and haven't seen one of my videos in a long time, well, I appreciate you helping me get to 100,000 members. It simply means everything to me. Additionally, we are just going to proceed since we're in such a fantastic hip-hop moment. Now, if you created the video up to this point, make sure to subscribe and give a like. It is beneficial. Me out a great deal. Now, if you'd want to view how immediately prior to this, well, that leads to them attempting to ruin this record. We recently revealed one of Push's records of the most detrimental events that were occurring in the sector, and all was occurring as I was. Done in an effort to destroy the videos, but naturally that failed. Check out the recommended video.